Are you feeling stretched thin, constantly not enough time, exhausted, worn out? Well, this could be the problem. I'll tell you one thing that we should reframe in our minds here in a second, but divorce can often leave us in a place of feeling this way. That's because new routines, new places, new faces, new things. Life gets kind of complicated in divorce because so much of it has changed. And that's totally understandable. One trick to get through that is to realize we've been lied to. That's right. What you've been told your whole life isn't true, isn't real, and shouldn't be the way that you look at things. And that is that there's 24 hours in the day, because there's not. See, you're a human, and so am I. And as humans, we do this magical thing called sleeping. And if we don't take into account sleep in our day, well, we're not gonna show up right for ourselves, for our family, for our friends, for our work, for life. So, let's look at it this way. Instead of 24 hours, we actually have 16. 16 hours to do the things. This is absolutely, I gotta take a pause. This is beautiful. Beautiful behind. Another wild adventure here in Northern California. Found this little parking space. Ended up, look at this. I mean, the trail back here, the woods. It's just incredible. I don't know, I'm amazed by it. And you know why? Because I got not 8 hours, but much more than I would get, because I considered the day of really only having 16. And you should too. You should too, so you can show up in the ways that you need to when you're going through divorce. And that might be hard for you. I know personally for myself, I didn't sleep well for quite some time. For the first 3 weeks, I barely slept at all. And part of the reason why I went on such an epic hike 3 weeks in was to wear myself out, to put myself in a place and do so much that I had to get some sleep. There was no other choice. Now, I don't know if that is a recommendable space for you and what you should do, but maybe you're in that place where you're not getting much sleep. Maybe you need to do something epic, like a massive hike. But I will say, consult your doctor first. Make sure you go prepared. And you might want to plan it out a little bit too. So, yeah, after that hike, my whole world changed. Get out to new places. Oh my goodness. Now I'm gonna try to stop in the video here, but you can see the marine layer on this ridgeline here. This is just a phenomenal view. Just an incredible spot here, out in the middle of nowhere. So right back there, see the marine layer in. The camera really doesn't do it justice, but it's rolling over those hills and coming through those beautiful California redwoods. And it is beautiful. This actually looks like an old cabin up here. There's what appears to be a garden over here. An incredible view. Propane tank over here. Chicken coop. This would be a spot to watch the sunset every night, for sure. And that's one of my favorite things to do in divorce. So I will say, maybe try to find some epic spots to go watch a sunset from. And circling back to 16 versus 24 hours. When we look at the world in 24 hours, we don't protect our sleep. We don't make sure that we're taking care of ourselves. We just go through the day kind of wandering and meandering, only to find out that we're constantly tired, that we're constantly extending ourselves, overextending ourselves, and not loving ourselves in the sense of giving our bodies the ability to regenerate, to rest, to recuperate. So some tricks and tips on how to do that are coming up. But I want to know down below, what do you think? Do you look at the day in 16 hours or 24? Do you time block your sleep out? Or do you just lay down when you're tired? I know for me, divorce gave me a unique opportunity to really hone in on my sleep schedule, to create a nighttime routine, and to be a lot more mindful of the impact I was having on my body with the lack of sleep. So I'm not sure where I'm at, but looks like we arrived on another homestead possibly. We got a bunch of stacked logs, some brush, some old lumber. Just another adventure, guys. That's what's fun about getting out in new places. We got some water jugs, maybe some old camping sites, picnic tables. I don't know. A little bit higher than the last home site. So kind of interesting. I think we're back in a state park, but California is an interesting space. It's like Colorado and a lot of states where there's these old home sites that are sprinkled through state parks. Some of them are leases, land leases. Some of them are owned property. Like there's this really cool place outside of Crested Butte. Keep on driving up the hill out of town and away from 50, and you end up in this really cool little town that is just these cabins, no electricity, and it's pretty amazing. So maybe it's something like that. Looks like there's an old logging road back here. Anyways, my mind wanders sometimes when in these state parks of the stories of how long that family may have been there. In California, there's a lot of families that still own property or large swaths of property previously owned by homesteaders, which is really reminiscent to that time when we were moving west as a nation and trying to settle this land. And just, it's kind of interesting to think about how large swaths of land was given away to inspire people to inhabit the area. We got a water tank up the hill, so I try to be respectful if I see what looks to be someone's personal space, but this all looks to be dismantled. In Northern California, we have a lot of wildfires, so trying to be mindful and respectful, but I don't see any established housing or indications that this is a frequently visited area. And so we've done a lot of tangents today and distractions. So it's interesting to hear if you guys like those tangent and distractions, if you'd like me to stick to the conversation at hand. But more or less, we were talking about some deer moving through the brush. We were talking about the impact of sleep and considering 16 hours versus 24. Now, 7 to 8 hours is apparently enough time for our bodies to rest and regenerate and rebuild. And in doing so, we're gonna improve our cognitive function. We're also going to increase our immunity and ability to fight off diseases. So this is a really critical, important time for ourselves and our body. And I just wanted to highlight that as a good reason that we should be mindful of our sleep. Now, I promised you guys some tips and tricks on how to get there and look at that, and here they are. One thing I like to do, and one thing I had to do, was start a bedtime routine. And to do that, started a bedtime routine by actually setting an alarm clock at night. And that alarm clock was an indication that I had to, the first one, shut things down, because I'd kind of learned and taught myself that you go until you can't move anymore or you start messing up a repetitive project. So it's probably not a healthy thing, but it was a product of me trying to rebuild this house over the last 10-year period of my life. So I'd kind of decided that that was the way forward, was to just work until I couldn't work anymore. And so it became like a normal process for me. But in doing so, I was actually unhealthily cutting into my sleep. Sometimes I had to go to work really early in the morning. Sometimes I just wasn't sleeping. And so, because of other life responsibilities or commitments. So, just wanted to put that out there, that a good way to do this, to stay dedicated to your sleep, is to set an alarm. And in that alarm, the first one was to shut down for me. So put away the tools, clean up the mess I made, and then 20 to 30 minutes later, I had another alarm that would go off. And that was brush your teeth, wash your face, maybe take a shower, depending on how dirty I was, and get to bed. At times I had reading alarms. At times I have tried various things here. So I wanted to encourage you all to be experimental here, find a system that works for you. But if you're not getting consistent sleep in divorce, a lot of times that can be because we're ruminating on something, right? We're thinking about what's in the future, which hasn't happened yet, or what's in the past, what we can no longer control. So if we can accept the reality that these things are out of our control and bring awareness to the only moment that we are truly in is here and then now, in this moment, in this breath, then you can find some peace. We can also talk about different breathing techniques, like a 6-7-8 technique. 6 seconds in, 7-second hold, 8-second release. If you do that repetitively, you can typically find some good results in trying to shut your brain down and get to sleep. It's a pretty amazing trick. So yeah, if not that, the box breathing of 4 in, 4 holds, 4 holding seconds, 4 releasing seconds, and then 4 holding seconds at the bottom. It can also be really helpful, but for me personally, the 6-7-8 breathing technique was really useful for sleep. Anyways, these are all reasons of why you have 16 hours in the day and not 24. I hope in divorce you're getting plenty of sleep, and if you're not, that these tools and techniques and tips put you in a position where you can get a solid night's rest. Because your body needs it, your mind needs it, and you need it.